I'm not someone who plans too far ahead. My name is Bob Miller, and I tend to react to things as they come. So when I saw my wife's car, a blue Mercedes sedan, pull into the Marriott, I stood up from my spot on the park bench across the street and started walking toward her. She was supposed to be at her sister's house, just 30 minutes away. As I walked, I noticed an SUV pull up next to her car. It didn't stand out in terms of its make or model, but it had a University of Pennsylvania sticker on it and a license plate that read PSU 100. Since we were in Virginia, both of those details caught my attention. The car belonged to Max Bearer, a colleague of mine at HMD Consulting. He got out, and I watched as my wife, Joyce, walked over to him. They held hands and headed toward the hotel's main entrance. I didn't follow them directly. Instead, I took a side entrance and walked in. As I passed the front desk, I spotted them standing there together. I walked past and made my way to the elevator lobby, positioning myself behind a large potted plant at the far end, where I waited. This hotel had no rooms on the first floor, and the restaurant was located behind the lobby. If they were going to dine, they would likely walk by me, but they didn't. The two of them, hand in hand, rounded a corner. They were absorbed in each other's presence, completely unaware of me. Max pressed the call button for the elevator, and Joyce leaned into him. The elevator dinged open, and they stepped inside. I acted quickly, jumping up to the elevator doors and waving my hand between them to prevent them from closing. The surprise on their faces was obvious when I stepped in. The doors shut behind me before anyone could speak. "What floor?" I asked, maintaining a polite tone. "Bob," Max said, clearly confused. "That's me. How are you?" I replied, still polite. No one pressed a button. So I reached back and pressed the button for the 6th floor, the top floor. The doors closed, and the elevator began to rise. Joyce, sitting silently beside Max, didn't say a word. I turned to both of them. "I assume you're heading upstairs for some fun," I said, watching their reactions. No response. Joyce looked down, and I noticed that she was crying softly. Max kept glancing at the walls of the elevator, though I knew he had to be watching me. In an instant, I stepped toward him, brought my left forearm under his chin, and lifted him up, pinning him against the elevator wall. My grip tightened as I applied pressure to his neck. He struggled, but he was too close for it to do any good. I kept him there for a few moments before delivering a sharp knee to his groin. The impact made him let out a loud, painful cry. "Stop! Stop, Bob!" Joyce screamed, finally reacting. She rushed to push me off him. I slapped Max's knee again, causing him to gasp. "Every time you touch me, I'm going to hurt the boy you're in love with," I warned her, my voice cold. Joyce stepped back, her fear obvious. "Bob, we can talk about this," she said through her tears. Max's head rested in my arm. He had passed out from the pain. I let him slump to the floor, his body sinking under its own weight. He was still breathing. The elevator ascended to the 6th floor, and the doors opened with a soft chime. The announcement followed. 6th floor. I looked at Joyce. "Is this your floor?" I asked again, my voice polite. She didn't answer. I pressed the 2 button and the doors closed. Joyce turned to me, her eyes wide with terror, a clear look of horror across her face. "Perhaps you can explain why you're here and not at Mildred's house." I asked calmly. "You know why," she muttered softly, her voice barely a whisper as tears streamed down her face, ruining her makeup. "Pity," I said without malice. "But I didn't kill him," I continued in the same composed tone. "Or you, for that matter." She stared at me, opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "What room are you in?" I pressed. She hesitated. Now, tell me." 210, she whispered. The elevator doors opened on the 2nd floor. The hallway was empty. Without hesitation, I picked Max up and threw him over my shoulder. I took Joyce's hand and we rounded the corner. Room 210 was on the left. I pointed. "Open it." She did, and I pushed the door open, dragging her inside. I threw Max onto one of the double beds. "Now that we have some privacy, anything can happen. Do you understand?" "Yes, Bob," she said through her tears. "I'm sorry. I got carried away, but nothing happened. I swear it. It was supposed to be the first time. Nothing happened. Don't touch him again," I warned. "You'll get in trouble. You could lose your job. I have absolutely no reason to believe anything you say," I continued. "And I don't. You've already ruined him. He's going to die. Maybe you will too." "I swear on my life," she started. "Oh, please don't," Max hissed from the bed. I filled a glass with water from the bathroom sink and splashed it onto his face. He hissed. His eyes fluttered open, then closed again. He groaned in pain. "What's the matter, Max? Not feeling so good? Still want a taste of my wife?" I asked, my voice calm but firm. "Bob, I apologize. She's, hot," Max stammered. "I want you to tell me everything that happened, right now. And remember, I'm here. I know what I know. Enough to send you to the hospital if you lie. If you lie, I'll punish you severely." I turned to Joyce, who was about to speak. "Shut up," I warned. "Not one word, or I'll knock you out." She closed her mouth, her fear palpable. I turned back to Max. "Remember, one lie, and it's over for you. I was infatuated with her when we met at your summer party." Max began, his voice shaky. "I tried hitting on her. She pushed me away, but I thought she seemed interested. I kept at it, and eventually she started flirting." "When did you first hook up?" I asked sternly. "Never," he answered quickly. "It wasn't like that. Just a few dances. Just once, actually." "Where?" "In my car. We drove to a lookout. It was over quickly." "I'm sorry." Joy stepped back, her face in shock. She started crying again, this time openly and fully. "So, Max, I guess I'm going to have to tell your wife about this. There's no other way. Maybe she and I can get a divorce lawyer," I said, with no emotion. "Bob, I have kids. Can't we just forget about this? I swear I'll never try anything again. Sorry, but it's going to come up in the divorce anyway," I replied coldly. Joyce, still sobbing, said, "We can make it work. We can have a long, happy marriage, kids, and all of that. I've ruined everything. I'm saying I love you, Joyce, but I'm not going to see you much after this. I'll just leave you alone." I turned to Max. "Sleep with her if you want. She's not my wife anymore." Without another word, I walked out. They didn't follow me. I crossed the street and sat back down on the same park bench where I had first seen Joyce's car earlier. I was early for my next appointment. Marion Bayer walked up to the bench and sat down next to me. I kissed her briefly. We got up and walked toward the Holiday Inn, which was just behind us. As we walked, I casually said, I saw our spouses heading to the Marriott just now." She seemed intrigued. "What did you do?" she asked, her interest piqued. I described my interactions with her husband and my wife. "Well," she said, taking my hand, "we can use the same lawyer." And so, that's exactly what we did.